Welcome back to the Leadership Lounge. This is the place where I shine the spotlight on leaders who are doing it right and they are leading with heart. And today is no exception. What do you get when you combine a former senior executive from KPMG and Booz Allen, nearly 30 years inside corporate leadership, a best-selling author, the founder and CEO of The Power Lane, and 19 years of lived experience as a working mother? You get Heather Powers. Heather's work sits at the powerful intersection of leadership, culture, and the future of work. She challenges organizations to stop offering surface level support and start building systems that actually work for the people inside them. Because when leaders get this right, they don't just retain talent. So help me welcome the woman redesigning how it really works. Welcome to the show, Heather.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited.
I am so happy that you're here. So we've got a lot to talk about today. And guys, if you're listening from wherever, please say hello. We'll be sharing your comments on the screen. If you have questions, send them our way. But Heather, you've seen the show. You know how this goes. So let's introduce you to everybody and share a little bit of your story.
Great. Thank you. You started really well. So I have been in management consulting for nearly 30 years here in Washington, D.C., and have been a mom for 19 of those years. I have a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old. And that it's been a wild ride. We've talked about it. You have teenagers as well.
Yes.
It's been a ride.
Yeah.
But pandemic certainly highlighted several weaknesses in the system. I like to think of moms as sort of the canary in the coal mine of if it's not working for us, then it's probably not working for most of our employees.
Yes.
And that certainly was highlighted in the pandemic, and we're still sort of reconciling what that means for us.
Okay, so we're going to talk a lot about your work and we're going to talk about who you serve, but let's just start with what are leaders getting right about working parents? Because I want to start on a positive, because Lord knows we're going to drag them through the mud in like 2 minutes, but let's just start with some good ones.
Yeah, I think several good things, right? From the time when I first started thinking about having a family to where we are today, it's not just paid leave for the mother or the birthing parent, right? It's paid leave for parents, however you become a parent. So that's been huge. There's more awareness, right? That there are, so 70% of today's employees are caregivers, and many of those are parents. That's a big part of your workforce.
Yeah.
And so just that recognition, I think, allows people to say, okay, I need to understand what my workforce is dealing with. And in many cases, it's being a parent and all that comes with. So those are really two good things, leave and flexibility, and even just awareness that people have lives outside of work.
Yeah, I love that it's a bigger conversation now too. And I have a dear friend who will be coming on the show soon, Erica Sinner, and she's actually trying to incorporate pet bereavement into policies, which I think is amazing. I mean, you know what it's like to lose a pet. It's like losing a child. It's really, really hard, and it's hard to do your work. So let's just level set everybody and talk about who do you work with, who seeks you out, and kind of what are your services?
Yeah, thank you. So I do a lot directly with moms, either one-on-one coaching or small groups. And I go into organizations, often through moms or parent groups, to help them assess what's working well and what maybe needs some looking at. And that's been really rewarding. And then I'm doing a lot more speaking as well, going into organizations and talking about this new concept that's really resonating around creating that workplace village. We've all heard it takes a village to raise a child.
It's true.
Well, it takes a village to actually do your work as well. And whether you're a parent or you are an individual with great volunteering responsibilities, or perhaps training for a big marathon, or we have a lot more triathletes in the world today, people need some flexibility. And sort of recognizing who's around you and who can support you. Again, whether you need to step away and run to that orthodontist visit, or you need to block time to get your long runs in. Sort of understanding who you are and who you're supported by in your workplace one makes it more fun, but two makes it
Yes.
more productive and certainly more resilient when those inevitable life things happen.
Mhm.
Step away from work for a minute.
Yeah, I think with this whole RTO, return to office movement, we're seeing a lot less flexibility. And I really feel like that's the pendulum swinging the wrong way. When I see companies that are like, take the time that you need, I know you're going to get the work done. I mean, that was how I led my people. I had faith in them. I hired them. So I obviously trusted them. And, if they needed to go to their kids' play rehearsal, they were going to make up the work somewhere else. And I really just feel like if you give your people more autonomy, they're going to trust you. They're going to show up. They're going to be there when you need them. And if you're going to micromanage every minute of their day, good luck to you. Um, so,
Exactly.
so who is doing this well right now?
Yeah, it's hard. There are some great organizations that are doing it really well, and in some of those that we hear about, Patagonia, some of the big professional services firms, and I always hesitate to throw out too many names because it always comes back to the leader that you work for, the team
Yeah.
that you're on, and unfortunately, that's just a reality, right? You can have the best policies and the best culture as a big organization, but if you happen to work for a manager or a leader who isn't flexible, doesn't really believe in flexibility, or everyone has to be in the office to actually be doing their work, then it doesn't really matter. But that's, there are some great policies out there. And to your earlier point, we're talking about it more.
Oh, yeah.
And individuals are talking about it and saying, hey, this is my experience at this organization. Come on over.
Yeah.
And I think
I,
that's a big point, right? If people are talking and they're not willing to put up with hard times or frustrating bosses or
mhm.
policies that just don't work for them right now, and they're able to go.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing this in the audience. Everybody's kind of chiming in on they agree and how
Yes.
I think Tim Duthie said flexibility is the key to engage team members in the modern age. Yes. Chasen said, where did it go? Happy and psychologically safe people are more productive. I mean, yes, 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 yes. So we totally, totally agree. And I think, the leaders that kind of cling to that old of, I need to know where you are at all times. I need you to be in the office. I need you to do whatever. Um, it's tired and it
Right.
does not earn you any trust. It does not earn you any respect. And you got to freaking knock it off. It really
Right.
is. It just shows you're a very insecure leader. And that doesn't look good on anyone. Um,
Exactly.
so, okay, let's get into some of the meat of the questions. So, what's something that most companies offer that makes them feel progressive, but it really doesn't change much?
Right. So I think about the last few years and the apps, right? Whether it's the Calm app or the
We were just
Headspace
talking
app,
about this before we started. Yeah.
right? Which are wonderful tools, but they're like band-aids, right? They're not really gonna change the culture. Um, there are a few other perks that are coming up that just you're like, well, that's great, but that only impacts a few people. And so wonderful that you've chosen to spend money on that. Um,
Yes.
really actually need some training for my leader, right? Like
Yeah.
he or she didn't
Yeah. Get
get.
your leader a coach. That's better. Better investment.
Absolutely. Yeah. I remember when I first was looking at the next leadership level, it was like a 4-day training. And then you had this 6-month sort of apprenticeship. And then many of us got coaches as well. And you're like, oh my gosh, I actually feel prepared and I've got the
Yeah.
support around me. And I think maybe it's half day and it tends to be around approving time and expenses. And again, it depending on organization, but to your point, right? It doesn't, it comes out in the wash. If you don't invest in some of the fundamentals around providing training and giving people what they need to do their job, then yeah, you pay for it on the back end.
I agree, and I think we watch. I, I just did a post on this yesterday, and everybody's chiming in on it that just because you light a candle doesn't mean that we're feeling the impact of your Zen wishes for your people. You really need to do more than just
Right.
the band-aids. And the workplace experts that are out there, at least the ones that I'm talking to, are really kind of hearkening back to there needs to be fundamental change with the way that you manage your people. And there's the quote, if you want something done, give it to the busiest mom you know, and it'll get done. And I think your point earlier, they're a really good litmus test. If they're not happy and if they're struggling, they're probably the people that you should be working with and talking to. So
Right.
what insight do you get when you're talking to these groups of parents? What are they saying that they need?
Yeah, I think we mentioned this earlier, but it's the flexibility. We saw this certainly here in the Mid-Atlantic and in the DC region over the last year, whether it was the government pulling people back into the federal offices, or all of the support contractors, consultants, and all the organizations that support the government sort of followed suit.
Yeah.
And I'm part of several moms groups, and our chats would be lighting up with, "Oh my gosh, I have to go back to work. I don't have childcare.
Mm,
Like, I don't have enough childcare for both of us," or for the single parents, it's horrendous.
right.
What am I going to do? And you know, people are often at a point where I like to call it the Tetris game, right? You've slotted in work, and you slot in care, and you slot in, perhaps sleep. And if any of those sort of goes out of whack, then the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah.
And we certainly saw that last year where, okay, everyone has to go back to the office. And it would be, why am I doing this? I'm working on the spreadsheet,
You
sitting
could be
here by
doing
my
that in your home office. It'd be just fine. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And have that flexibility to drop your kid off the hours that daycare is available,
Right.
and get your work done. You mentioned earlier, if you trust your people, they're gonna get their work done.
Yeah.
But the more micromanaging that comes in, the less they want to engage, and they sort of do the
True.
bare minimum, or they just leave
I've said it
because
100 times and I'll say it again. Micromanagement never inspired anyone.
right,
Anyone.
right,
So don't do it. It's a
yeah,
bad look.
right,
One of my good friends, Mark Peters, who's the CEO of Butterball, he did something really interesting. So his family was managing Butterball always, and
yeah,
he started in the trenches, in
mhm,
the factories, in the distribution areas, and learned every job. And the one thing that he really learned, which really shaped the way he leads, was if you are living paycheck to paycheck, someone will say, "What's your 5-year plan?" They don't even have a 5-week plan or a 5-month plan. They can't think 5 years. They're just
right,
trying to survive.
yes,
And so he took it upon himself to create this incredible thing called the Source, which is a ton of resources available to the people that work for
mhm,
him. And he's teamed with other CEOs to collaborate on an even larger scale. So, you know, free social workers, free daycare, free, like all
wow,
kinds of things that are supportive to his employees. That's modern. That's
yes,
cool. That's how it should be done. And if
right,
you don't know what I'm talking about, go listen to the Heartbeat for Hire episode with Mark Peters. He'll be back on the show in June, but phenomenal leader and super,
awesome,
super inspiring guy. So he's kind of, I think, what Heather and I are talking about, of like the possible and what you should be thinking about.
right.
So,
Well, and
yeah,
I'll just play off that for a minute. Just asking your employees, like asking your team, what do they need?
yeah,
Because I think oftentimes we assume, or frankly just don't know. Moms, it's sort of easy because they either go out to have the child, or um, oftentimes are the primary sort of caregiver, and so get that
right.
school call or whatever. I'm thrilled that it's changed where dads are as engaged, if not more
Yes.
so in some cases, which is wonderful. But if you're a caregiver for a parent or a sibling, or, we were helping our neighbor last year through chemo treatments, that's not always as obvious.
No.
So just asking your team where they're struggling, and what would help make it a little easier to get everything done.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, asking your individual direct reports, and this is the question I always coach, ask them, how can I be the best leader for you?
Yes.
And everyone's going to have a different answer. But that's a
Right.
very humbling yet empowering question, because you're going to have information you didn't have before. And
Right.
you're admitting you don't know everything.
Right.
And you shouldn't. You should be curious, and you should want to know what your people need. So I love that. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, you raise a good point about you as a leader. It's hard to know everything, and you shouldn't, right? You shouldn't be
No,
expected to. And I
no.
think that's one of the sort of bright lights that came out of the pandemic. We used to joke that the handbooks couldn't keep up with the scenarios that were popping up in 2020 and 2021. That's okay, right? But just learning and being comfortable to say, I don't know how to deal with this, right? My direct report came to me, and this is a completely new situation for me. Help me work through a solution that works for her and the rest of the team. And we got pretty darn creative in those
Yeah,
periods. And
love that.
we haven't captured all of that. But I think sort of remembering that spirit of, okay, we are one team, we are a village, we can figure it out. And whether it's shifting the work or just providing support, flexibility, whatever is needed, we can do it. We have done it. It's not that long ago, even though it feels eons ago.
No, I know. So you wrote a book, and we're going to talk about the book. Well, why don't we talk about the book now? We'll level set, and then I have a
Yeah.
question for you about the book. So
Okay.
tell us about the Power Lane, and please, because you know this is my favorite part, why you named it the Power Lane.
So I've been really lucky with my names. I named it the Power Lane because Lane is my maiden name and Powers is my married name. And why not take
So
advantage of the
clever.
two of them?
So good.
And it's really about, getting into your power lane, whatever that is for wherever you are in your life and in your career at the moment. I wrote the book, I started this a little over 3 years ago. I have to think it's been a while, but started it because although it was challenging as a mom and becoming a mom and then expanding my career in corporate, I just felt like it was getting harder and harder for the families coming after me with children younger than mine. We hit on childcare, we've hit on paid leave. Like things were just harder, more expensive, less accessible. And so women were leaving the workforce. Again, we saw it in huge numbers in 2020,
Oh, yeah.
2021. And then women were starting to come back to the workforce. And a year ago at this time, we had record numbers, which was amazing. Of course, that's since changed in the last year, but we'll get to that later. So I wrote the book really for leaders to say, we're in this talent shortage and it's not going to change anytime soon. Why not take advantage of these incredibly talented, educated, willing to work people, moms, and they're not asking for much, right? So the book is really, again, that business case around why you want to invest in moms and all
Yeah.
caregivers, and some of the tools and techniques that would help them that frankly aren't expensive. And so why not?
I mean, all of you leaders that are struggling with this and saying, yeah, but it's hard and I don't know where to start. She's giving you the freaking handbook, y'all. So get it. All right. So, what is a story you almost didn't put in the book because you thought it was too risky?
Yeah. So there's a story that really was sort of the pivot moment of, I'm not going to make my whole career in corporate. I think we all have those, whether we, change jobs or whatever that might be. But it was the fall of 21, and we were sort of getting back into what was, a little more normal. And I had just finished up a coaching call with one of my direct reports, and she was a mom with 2 young girls. Her husband also worked, and she was just killing it in every metric. But we really spent time on, oh my gosh, we're in that crazy fall season of one kid gets sick, has to stay home, then the whole family gets sick, and then everyone gets well, and then it just starts all over. And whether it's pandemic or not, that's sort of the fall routine for kids in daycare or elementary school. And so we talked through some strategies. She was in a good place. I was feeling good about things. And then my next call was with my manager of the time.
Mhm.
And I got reamed out for not pushing the team hard enough. And our team was mostly parents with young kids. And we had worked through, again, 18 months of all that the pandemic threw at us. We'd figured out a lot. And he just, we're not pushing hard enough. We're not meeting our targets, whatever. And I tried to explain sort of, we were all exhausted. I don't think any of us had taken a vacation at that point. We'd used all PTO to
Well,
sort of,
where were we going to go either?
well, that too, right? So we're exhausted, and he's yelling at me for not pushing the team hard enough. And the mansplaining was enough, but I just calmly, professionally wrapped up the conversation, stepped away, and said, I'm done. Mm-hmm. And it took me 6 more months to actually leave, but I checked out in that moment.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than a checked out leader.
Right. So I at that point, I'm like, something has to change. I consider myself pretty strong, had been through a few challenging things leading up to that. I'm like, if I'm having trouble, surely others are. Mm-hmm. And so started talking to people, and the idea of a book formed, and the idea of going out and doing this on my own, sort of taking my wisdom and experience and helping others. That was the pivotal moment.
Love it. Love it. So what is your leadership superpower?
My superpower is connection. People keep coming back to me saying, you're connecting me with people I never would have thought to connect with, whether it's, people individually or ideas. And it just sort of comes naturally to me because I want everyone to be happy. I want everyone to treat each other kindly and with a caring sort of approach. And connection is the word that I just keep hearing. So.
Well, and superheroes can't just have superpowers. You also have a kryptonite. So what's yours?
I think it's being too empathetic, sort of taking on people's struggles or pain or, again, it is kryptonite. I am learning to manage that better, but I don't think I'll change too much.
We're all works in progress. And I never ask that question because I want to embarrass my guests. I always ask it because we're all human and we've got stuff we're working on. And, that's a boundary thing that's hard for a lot of people, and especially empathic people who are just really like, oh, I feel this. And, you want to support, you want to help, you want to, take pain away. So yeah, I get that one. Who believed in you before you believed in you?
I think outside of the work context, it was my parents. They're just always there, always providing support. I was that shy introvert who fortunately had a louder, more gregarious sister. We're not that far apart. And so she was always the mouthpiece, and I was sort of the thinker and the planner. And so, it's fun to think back to go, oh my gosh, yeah, they really kind of did give me that.
I love it. All right. So to my loyal listeners and to everybody that comes back each week and to everybody new, I have a little present for you. So that QR code right there is a link to a few different deals, but one of which is with CozyEarth.com. And if you use the code Lead with Heart, here's the banner. If you use the code Lead with Heart, you can just go to CozyEarth.com or any of the other 2 websites or 3 websites that are there. Cozy Earth is a 41% discount. And if you're not familiar with Cozy Earth, it's been on Oprah's Favorite Things 9 times. I have the sheets. They are heavenly, delicious, delightful sleep. We're all talking about sleep and wellness. Take care of yourself. So buy yourself some sheets or whatever. They have a million other products. So check that out. And then I want to mention that next week, we've got Danielle Krishik entering the Leadership Lounge. I'm so looking forward to that conversation. And I think that's all I have to share about that. So back to the show. We are going to do our Lead It or Leave It speed round. So lead it if you love it, leave it if you hate it. And you can embellish on any things. It's not such a speed round.
Okay.
Okay. First topic, being praised for being low maintenance. And you can interpret it any way you like.
Yeah, I love it. I pride myself on being low maintenance, easygoing. Yeah.
So I kind of looked at that in 2 ways. I like that, but I also think it's people that are saying, oh, they don't make a lot of noise. They're low maintenance. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of I never know how people are going to take these. So that's good. Okay. Availability as a performance signal.
Oh, leave it. Yeah.
Why?
I just remember the days of, well, and we're not totally out of them yet, but being always on, always available, right? I remember resisting getting that BlackBerry back when that was the device of choice, because like, I don't want to be on after 6 p.m., right? That's when I'm in the middle of feeding and bathing and getting the kids to bed. And oh my gosh, I don't want to be available on the weekends. Um, so, yeah.
Mhm. And just a little note to anybody that's younger that thinks it's really important to be the first one to answer those emails. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because they will take as much as you give, and you need to create some boundaries, let other people answer things. And sometimes their answers will provoke more thoughts for you. Okay, here's one. I think I know how you're going to answer this one. 4-day work weeks.
Love it. Yeah. If you can get your work done in 4 days, wonderful.
That one too. Okay. I mean, the audience, I know how they're going to answer this one. So RTO, return to
Oh,
office.
no. And I'll caveat just this for a little bit. My career is in professional services, right? So we have the flexibility of being able to work in many locations. I know that other organizations, family and healthcare, bus drivers, some of those careers, you just have to be there wherever
Of
there
course.
is. But for those of us who have the flexibility, knowledge work, professional services, yeah, unless there's a compelling reason. And I enjoy getting together with other people and collaborating in person as much as anybody, but it doesn't have to be 5 days a week,
No,
8 to
it
6.
does not. It really doesn't. And for the leaders, and there is a specific kind of leader that I see that is clinging to this old, tired, and I'm just gonna call it out. It's tired. Stop
Yeah.
freaking doing it. It doesn't work. And I know for IBM, my teams were always remote. I was remote almost my entire career.
Wow.
Um, and out of 23 years, 21 of them, I was working out of my home office. And if you had told me I needed to go into an office, none of my team would have been there.
Right.
And that is still the case. So, like, think about what you're asking because it's so dumb. Sorry, just saying it. Okay. So, corporate wellness programs.
I think there's a time and place for them. So yes, love them, love the focus on it. But to our earlier points, let's really understand what's needed versus just finding the latest app or gadget that we like.
I mean, the apps are cool and it's nice to provide those.
Yep.
But I would rather you spend your money on coaching the leaders who aren't getting it right.
Yes,
That's where you're going to make longer lasting change. Okay,
absolutely.
here's one. And this kind of, I recently watched the movie 9 to 5, and they talk about job sharing.
Mhm.
So I want to hear your thoughts on job sharing.
I think when structured right, it can be a really powerful tool. We just talked about sort of two heads are better than one, and um, I've seen great examples of where it works really, really well. It all comes down to communication, right? And sort of being able to communicate expectations and what's been done and what still needs to get done. But I think that can be a wonderful tool. And certainly for people who are looking for something less than full time or just need some flexibility. And yeah, with some thought, job sharing can be great.
Yeah, I like it. I think you have to have the right people that are ready to do it, and you have to have people that are willing to be equal partners on the
Yes.
role. But I think it's cool. Time off as a perk instead of a right.
Oh gosh. Uh, leave that thought. Time off is just essential.
Yeah.
We have family in Europe, and so here's a quick vignette. My son was 16 months old. We took him over to Germany for a joint christening with some cousins. And so he's 16 months old. Heather, when are you going back to work? And I was like, going back? I've been back a year. They were just
Done.
floored.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, time off is absolutely needed. Again, we talked about it's important for moms. It's important for all parents,
Sure
regardless of
is.
your role. But we all need time to recover, rest, regroup.
Yeah.
So
I,
lots of
I
work to
was
do there.
I was coaching a CEO recently, and she was telling me that one of her executive team was taking 1 week off for paternity leave. And I looked at her and I'm like, you better tell him to knock that shit off. That is such a bad example
Yeah.
because his whole team is going to think that that's what they're expected to do. I think that's just so bad. So,
Yeah.
so bad. Speaking of time off, unlimited PTO.
So I think there's a time and place for that. And I know the organizations that have that, it works really well. I've been part of organizations where that is a benefit to certain executive leaders, and that works really well. It's getting the work done. And if you've created a culture where sort of everyone understands the expectations and wants to work together and get it done, I don't see the harm in that.
Yeah.
I remember one place I worked that was, again, years ago. We had paid time off and we had sick leave. And they chose to get rid of sick leave and merge it together with sort of all time off. And the reasoning was that not all sick leave was used. I'm like, that's a good thing. But now we want people to be able to use sick leave when they're sick.
Yeah.
And the downside of that was that people stopped using sick leave because they wanted to save their time off for other reasons, whether it was vacation or caregiving or whatever they wanted to use it for. So
yeah, I don't understand the whole, like, we give you 2 weeks off and you're looking at someone who's, in their 40s or their 50s and you're like, are you kidding? Like, what am I going to do with that? And then on the flip side, you have unlimited PTO with leaders that are like, yeah, but we don't want you to take it.
Right.
Like, what's the point, people? I actually love what Melissa said here. She said it needs to be a culture where it's supported. Too many people are not using their PTO. And I love what Bomi said, and spend time to create the cultures and environments that support wellness and employees actually being able to take the time to take care of themselves. There's no point in having all the wellness tools if people never feel like they have the space to use it. Well said,
Absolutely.
sister. Thank you. All right, I think I have one more topic. Oh, yeah. We encourage you to unplug emails. So this is like when you're on vacation.
I think that's a wonderful statement, and I think it needs to be backed up by action.
Yeah. I hate when it's followed up with, I know you're on vacation, but I'm just going to leave this here. So you come back to like 300 emails and you're like, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah.
I have so many friends that do the out of office. If you're sending me this email, I am not going to read it. So just wait until I get back on such and such a day. And I think that's, and if it's urgent, talk to whoever. But I think that's a healthy.
Yeah, I totally respect the people who put that and then say, I'm just going to delete any email I received between these 2 dates.
It's great. Too much. And, same goes for leaders sending emails to their team in the middle of the night or at 3 a.m. And, sometimes some of those are scheduled, but for the most part, they're not. And you're not getting any awards for working crazy hours.
No. No, and you're setting expectations that aren't sustainable and just create more stress and drama in the workplace. So
I agree. Okay, well, that's the end of our leader to leave it speed round. Thank you for playing. So who are your ideal clients?
So ideal clients are women who are moms or thinking about being moms, women who are in decision-making roles who look around and want to either infuse what's working more broadly in their organization or fix the systems that are broken. We've hit on several of those systems throughout the conversation. It's people who recognize that this current cycle of RTO mandates or limited paid time off or no flexibility leads to attrition. And would you rather I'll challenge, would you rather your leaders be focused on creating that culture that produces a supportive team and that village mentality, or would you constantly be hiring and training and onboarding new people because your people are leaving?
what do you say to people who say, Heather, what you do is really fluffy and, not essential and nice, but we're going too hard and too fast to stop to focus on that? Because I'm sure you hear this, or,
Yeah.
people are saying like, that's cute, but no time for that. So what do you say to that?
I say, would you rather be, again, hiring and training and onboarding people all the time, or would you rather be focused on helping the people you have do
Yeah.
good work? In
Yeah.
today's environment, it costs anywhere between 1.5 to 2 times the person leaving salary
Oh,
to
yeah.
replace them, let alone all the
I,
knowledge.
I heard a much bigger statistic than that. So
Really, it's
like
gone up.
4x. Like it's
Yeah.
and it's because of, all of the setup that it takes, the system setup, the software, the hardware, the all of the things they get plugged into, the effort that takes. It's not from one person, it's from many people.
Yeah.
Not to mention the investment you're making in them, the training you're putting them through. And then when they leave, someone still has to unplug all of that,
Yeah.
send you on your, like, it's a
Yeah.
lot. It's
Yeah.
those are big numbers.
And then that storming, norming, and performing, you get the
Mhm.
team operating again or humming along at a good
Yeah.
pace. That, can be 6, 9, even 12 months. So
Agree.
I would rather view leaders as less the sort of single spoke and the conductor and more the connector,
Mhm.
helping their team members connect to what they need to get the work done, and removing roadblocks and sort of not being that single point of failure, but helping the team become that sort of village of support and really create that mentality that we're all here to support one another. We're all here to do our best work and produce our best products. And that to me is the better ROI than writing people hard and pushing them to leave.
I think I interrupted you too when you were talking about, what do you say when challenged? So did I continue your thoughts if I stopped you? Because I want to make sure people heard it.
Lost my train of thought.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, what happens when people challenge you and they say this is fluffy, nice to have, but not, not essential.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it comes back to the business metrics. And if you don't have people doing the work, then you're not going to meet whatever your revenue or business targets are.
Yeah.
And again, we're in a talent shortage, and it doesn't seem to be changing. And I know we've got all the dynamics around automation and AI and robotics, and all these things are coming. We still need the human side.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
And y'all, I mean, just because AI is coming hard and fast, and it will continue to do
Mhm.
so, the most important thing is about connection. And all I do is talk to experts about this. And I did 2 experts this week. I talked to Alicia Abate, who's my very dear friend. She's a futurist talking about the future of work. She gets hired to talk about how important the human connection is with all of this. So leveraging AI to allow space for that to happen is hugely important. And Henna Pryor, she's another
Mhm.
workplace expert. And, she's talking about how our social muscles have atrophied and how we need to leverage those to create connection in the face of AI. It's going to be a combo. It's not going to be AI ruling the world. And if
Absolutely.
we waste time on losing connection and losing those social muscles, we're really sunk. And, being parents of teenagers, this is a real thing. Like,
Yes.
every teenager is capable of sticking their head in a phone, but not every teenager is capable of ordering a cheeseburger
Right.
or, holding eye contact and shaking a hand. And those are skills that we really need to model and we really need to emphasize. And the worse we make it for working parents, the worse our whole future is going to look.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. They're raising the next generation of workers, and the work might look different from what we are doing today or will be doing even tomorrow or next year, but we still need them. So
no question. So, what are you working on right now?
yeah, so working on some coaching programs. I'm really excited to mention that I'm launching a membership program next month. It'll be called The Power Village, which is really helping moms get your power back, figure out what you need to integrate your work in your life and build that village, whatever that looks like for you. So that's exciting, and have some speaking engagements coming up here in the next couple months, which I'm excited with. March and May being big months for me.
That's fantastic. Good. And where can people find you? Oh, wait, I can help. Hold on. Keep going. You talk and I'll put that up. Here's
So
Heather.
always on LinkedIn. That's a huge, a great place to connect with me. Also my website, www.thepowerlane.com. Pretty straightforward, and other social media as well, but we'll leave it at LinkedIn and the website.
Yeah, there's her QR code. I couldn't make it easier for you. Please connect with Heather. Say you heard her here, although I think we have some really lovely audience members that came because they know you. So thank you all for being here. So Heather, here's the stage. Have some thoughts you want to share. Feel free, take liberties, go. What would you like to tell the audience that they ought to be thinking about as we start to close this out?
Yeah. Well, first, thank you all for joining us. And I hope 2026 is wonderful for everyone. I just leave you with this thought that caring is no longer a nice to have. Care is all we have. So as we create the connection and care for one another, I think we're all going to be stronger for it.
Beautiful. That is a lovely sentiment and so freaking true. And I can just say from everybody that I'm seeing in the audience, Steph, Bomi, Jared, Melissa, I saw Chasen, I saw who else? Teresa, Jill Johnson, Tim Duthie, Kara. Thank you all for being here. Melissa Carson. You guys make these shows so special. Liz Wing, we really appreciate you being here and supporting these conversations. This is what this is all about, is shining the light on who's doing it right. I love doing this show, and these leaders are absolutely extraordinary, doing really, really important things. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for showing up. And thank you for supporting Heather. She is tremendous and she's doing very, very important work. So please come back next week. Danielle Krishik will be here. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Leadership Lounge. And if you like all of these kinds of things, please go check out the Heartbeat for Hire podcast. New episodes air on Wednesdays. Episode 184 aired yesterday. And I'm booked until July. So it is my favorite thing to do these shows and to put the spotlight on who's doing it right. So get out there, go lead with heart. Have a great day. And thanks for being here. Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.